Going into education, it provided me an opportunity to be around individuals who were doing things different that I had never seen. I saw people have genuine care. That support system that education provided for me, from the resources as far as me trying to get back on my feet, establish the foundation for me and my son, for my family, and the community of people that came from backgrounds like myself that were working on themselves, that really motivated me to want to grow with them. Having the campus, having San Diego State University and the campus resources from the economic crisis response team, from Project Rebound, and we realized that there's thousands of us throughout the nation, and the amount of influence and impact that we're able to have by showing, yes, you might not be able to relate to me, but there's so many of us. Being around individuals like yourselves, people with master's degrees, PhDs, that are not just turning the page and moving forward, but they're turning the page, moving forward, and turning around and lifting people up so that they can turn the page along with them.
I remember emailing back and forth with Terrell a little bit, just like getting some information about it. And then I remember talking to literally talking to everybody in the prison, like, yo, you're never gonna believe what exists. This is wild. Like, there's people out here really doing it. And for me, that was pretty astounding, because like, you sit in prison and the belief that you have, the story that you're told is like, there's nobody out here, you know, it's hard enough to get a regular job, like a day labor job. And there's nobody with stories like ours that are out here in the professional space really doing it. And when they are, their stories are so exceptional that you don't ever believe that that's going to be you one day.
My advice to any student who may be feeling the same thing, as they're struggling through a course, or as they are sitting in a cell alone, or even with a roommate or surrounded by people, and you still feel that you're alone or that you're siloed, know that you have a huge community of support.
And so for me, connecting with FICGN a few years before I came home was like, it opened up a whole new possible story to me that I didn't have access to before. You know, who knows what are my limits going to be when I get out, if I know that there's all these people that are, you know, academics and professionals out here that are part of this network.
You have a huge community that is working to break down barriers that you are experiencing now, and you are part of that. We don't just work out here for students, we work with you as well. Your voice is just as important as anyone else's that you see on television, that you see on your computer screen, that you see on Zoom, etc. Student voices lead this work.
And then it kind of motivated me to continue to do the work that I was doing, because like, man, I can get this graduate degree, and then I can be an academic, and I can do research, and just be stereotyped as just a convict and all that, like really started to wash away, because I was given opportunities to do like academic, professional type of things. I took my very first college class in prison and enrolled in my last college class towards my PhD while I was in prison. And then I started teaching classes, you know, as like a part-time lecturer, and that was wild to me, because I was teaching classes while I was still in the custody of the Department of Corrections. The only identity I ever had was as, you know, a prisoner and a student.
Don't believe what everybody says about you, because it's not true. And that you can do anything that you want to do. And there's people that love you, and people that support you, and people that think about you all the time, every day. So don't believe what society says about you.
When you see me, you see every individual that has been justice impacted, system impacted. And I want you to see that you don't think that I was system impacted.
Nonetheless, even in that environment, as a student, we seek to educate ourselves, to provide ourselves a new foundation to stand on, a higher foundation to stand on.
Because we have to break down this mask. You know, whatever you think, the negative images of an individual that's been in prison is not. We say, oh, what does it look like to be justice impacted? Well, it looks like that lawyer over there, it looks like that accountant, that doctor, that teacher.
Education is transformative. Why not invite education into a system that attempts to prohibit transformation and growth? It is most impactful in situations where an individual hasn't had the same opportunities, hasn't had the same access, and hasn't been offered a seat at the table yet. That's what higher education gave me, a seat at the table to begin conversations with folks that would ultimately change my trajectory.
The impact of a degree, especially after being incarcerated, and I don't say this to boast or brag, because I not only got my bachelor's in social work and my master's in social work and became a licensed therapist, I'm able to make a salary that is well over $95,000 a year. And that's not doing other things on the side. So that's just one income, and I have multiple streams of income.
And using those skills and that feeling and that expression to teach young, older, middle class, anyone that comes out, say, be resilient. You out. You can make a change in your life and you can make a change in others.
The main part for me of FICGN was that they bring opportunities to individuals that have been inside and have college degrees. I got both of my jobs through FICGN, and so knowing that there was a community out there that appreciated my identity as a felon, as a person that was in prison, appreciated my identity as a college graduate, and honored that and highlighted that was life-changing, definitely.
Education can be very challenging, especially without support, without understanding technology, without giving us the tools to succeed, and without giving us the mentorship. Without that support and without that understanding and without that patience of someone guiding you and just hand-holding while you go through your anxiety, FICGN brings that understanding.
One of the reasons it's important to have that network of professionals who are formerly incarcerated, who have used post-secondary education as a route to social mobility, as a route to economic mobility, is just the introduction of possibilities. You know, like, how do you know what's possible if everything is, for me, when I was incarcerated, everything was like deficit based. People talking about what you can't do. You can't get a job. You can't get housing. You can't do this. You can't do that. But once you have this group, this network of individuals who are busting these doors open and leaving them open for people coming behind them, you know that it's possible for you to make something of yourself that you probably never even dreamed of before prison. You know, like, I never thought that I'd be teaching at a university, you know, before I ever went to prison. Every time I meet somebody who's formerly incarcerated, who's either a student or they tell me that they have a college degree, I'm pointing them in that direction. So one vision that I would have is that there's nobody who's formerly incarcerated, even interested in education, who does not know what FICGN is.